Chances are you've clicked on this video because you're feeling stuck. Motivation levels are running high and low, but overall you're just feeling pretty frustrated with the progress that you're making on eBay. However, you're watching channels like this and other sellers out there sharing their wins online, and you're holding out a little bit of hope that you still might think it's possible for yourself. And look guys, I've got to be brutally honest with you. The only thing standing in the way between you and where you want to get to on eBay is knowledge. If you're having a sales problem, it's not an eBay problem, it's a you problem. So that's why in today's video, I wanted to break down my $100 per day strategy that I have been following for the last 4 years. That's allowed me to consecutively hit $100 per day in profit. And look, I don't have a warehouse, I don't have a death pile, and I only work 20 hours a week. So once you know how much to list, what profit margins to target, and how to scale from there, this whole game gets so much easier. It's all about strategy, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now let's get one thing really clear. $100 a day in sales is very, very different to $100 a day in profit. And that's, I think, where a lot of people get stuck. They don't understand profit margin. They don't understand what their profit margin is. And it causes them to think that they're doing potentially better than they are when they look at the cold hard numbers of a profit margin and a profit margin percentage. So first things first, let's have a discussion about that. It's profit margin. What does that actually mean? It's all of the money, it's all of the percentage of money that is left over for you to play with once all of your business expenses are taken into account. So that's your cost of good, your shipping, your eBay fees, your bubble wrap, your butcher's paper, your petrol, literally everything when it comes to running an eBay business removed from your overall revenue, your overall sales. That's your profit margin. That is your percentage of money that you have left over. Now, once we understand what that is, we then need to work out, well, how much of that percentage do we actually want and how much can we actually realistically obtain? And I think a really good benchmark figure to work on, at least for this video anyway, and look, every business is going to be slightly different, but I think a really nice benchmark to work off is 40%, a 40% profit margin. So what we need to do now is we need to work towards our goal of $100 per day in profit. How do we work that out? Well, we've got to start with revenue. We've got to start with our biggest number, and I'm going to give you the number of $250 per day in sales. That over the course of a week is $1,750, and over a course of a year, it's $91,000 in revenue or sales across the year. Now that might sound really, really daunting, but trust me, it is totally achievable even on part-time hours. I'm going to explain how to get there in just a little bit. So we then take the 40% profit margin into account and we kind of put that to those numbers that we've just said there. There's our magical $100 a day in profit once that's taken care of. It brings us up to a total of $700 a week in profit. And over the course of a year, that's $36,400 a year in profit. Now, who would have won an extra $36,400 a year, right? If you can make that in true clean profit, you can then choose to pay yourself that amount of money. You could choose to reinvest it back into your business to have it grow even more. You could pay for your mortgage. You could pay all of your kids' bills. You could save some money to go away on a holiday at the end of the year. Who wouldn't want to work towards that sort of money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. But the big question is, how do we actually do that? Well, there are going to be some requirements that you're going to need to sort of be at. There's a level of eBay seller that you're going to need to get to before you can kind of launch into this sort of a strategy. So if you're just starting out selling on eBay and you're a bit unsure about the basic fundamental processes of how to list up an item, how to ship an item off, and those sorts of things, this is probably not going to be the strategy for you. Let me know in the comments below if you would like me to make a video which is getting your first $1,000 on eBay, because that is a totally different strategy to the one that we're talking about here. This one is more of an intermediate sort of a strategy that allows somebody that's made a start to eBay, start to progress their eBay business. So you'd want to be selling on eBay for at least 6 months or more. And your sales would want to be sitting at around $500 to $1,000 a month in sales. If you're at that level and you've got the dedication and the discipline to be able to commit 2 hours every single day to your eBay business, I really do think this is a possibility for you, but you do need to be in that position. Now, as an inexperienced eBay seller 5 years ago, that took me about 12 to 18 months to get to the stage that we're about to talk about in this video. I really fumbled my way through the process in the early days until I had a bit of a light bulb moment. My past background was in sales. For 10 years out of university, I was working in the sales industry within the AFL, the Australian Football League. I absolutely love my football, and to work in that industry was incredible. Throughout those teams and those roles over the years, it was always in a sales background working in two areas, the membership department and the corporate department. So B2C, selling to families to get them to come along and watch a game of football, and then B2B, which is me selling as a business to another business to get their sponsorship dollars on board the football club. Now, as you can imagine, selling to a family group is going to be $50 to $500. It's going to be sort of small tiered amounts of money. But then when I was talking in the B2C world and I got promoted and I was working in corporate, I was now doing $50,000 to $100,000 deals all the time. And through that experience in 10 years of doing memberships for a few years and then corporate for a fair period, I found that it was so much easier to sell to those that were willing to pay more money. And I neglected that throughout my early days as an eBay seller. I completely went 180 on what I'd learned over 10 years, and I went out to my local thrift store and I tried to find items for $2 that I could sell for $20 because it was low risk. It was super low risk, and I thought, look, I've only spent $2, how good's that? It's so cheap and I can get a 10x result in selling it for $20. So I raised that story with you because I realized, why don't I just play eBay like I used to play my football industry work? Why don't I just play on the high ticketed stuff and speak to a better customer base that's got more money to be able to pay for the things that I'm trying to sell at a higher price? So when we speak about strategy, this is the first element of the strategy that we really need to nail as eBay sellers, and that is sourcing quality stock only. By sourcing quality stock, what do I mean? I mean, you need to research every single item before you buy it. You've heard me say that multiple times on this channel before, but I swear by it. If you could be searching on the eBay app and the e-profit calculator to one, work out if it sells for a decent sale price and also it has a great sell-through rate, and then two, the profitability on what you're seeing the item available for purchase for matches up with a great opportunity for profit, then that is a green light product. So that's the first thing. You need to be researching every single one of the items before you go ahead and buy it. Say no to the rest if it doesn't hit those metrics. You also want a high average sale price of $50. Let me use this as an example for you to break this down, guys. I say the $50 average sale price all the time on this channel, but it really runs true. If I was selling a $25 average sale price, here's an example for you. You would need to sell over 3,000 items over the course of a year to get to that magical number of $91,000 in revenue. If I said to you, actually my average sale price is $100 per item, you only have to sell 900 items to hit that $91,000 in revenue. Arguably 3 times less or 4 times less in total quantity of sales to be able to get that same result of $91,000. So this whole concept around how to sell on eBay efficiently in just 2 hours per day, it comes down to the average sale price. I don't just say it as a flippant number to make it sound good or look good. I'm doing it to save you hours and hours of time when you're working a busy 9-to-5 job to be able to focus on just higher quality, higher average sale prices only. And you might be thinking to yourself, Matt, $50 is an average sale price for the entire amount of items that I'm selling on eBay. That's hard. I don't know if I can do that. Well, I'm not actually saying that. Remember, the word is average. So you could have $25 item then countering to a $75 item. Well, that 25 and 75 gives you an average of 50. So it doesn't have to be $50 plus. You just need to average out at 50 or more. And if you can, your eBay business is going to skyrocket just simply on that stat alone. Now, when it comes to sell-through rate, I talk about 50% as the metric all the time, but you can actually change the sell-through rate of the item or the perceived sell-through rate of the item by your price point selection. This is something that not a lot of people talk about. If you've got 10 active listings and you've got 5 sales, you could speed up that 50% sell-through rate by pricing your item a little bit less and making it a little bit more competitive. A reverse to that would be for you to price up your item at the highest end of the price points, and that would slow the sell-through rate and turn it into a 30 or 40% sell-through rate item, and then your item's going to sit around for a whole lot longer. So you could totally manipulate the sell-through rate just simply by the product price that you choose to select. Understanding sell-through rate is going to be the biggest unlock for you to be successful with selling on eBay. But when it comes to sourcing quality stock, guys, the biggest success that I have seen with my eBay business in shortening my time down to just 20 hours per week to get the results that I'm getting is I have built a network of connections. You're going to need a network of connections, but you're also going to know what you're after. You're going to need to know that information. Like, what product are you searching for? I know that I'm DVDs, video games, and Pokemon cards, and I communicate that on places like this YouTube channel, and I get inquiries all the time of people wanting to sell me those categories. It makes life so much easier. It helps on the eBay standpoint. I won't go into this video today, but it really does algorithmically help massively. So you've got to build a network of connections. You cannot continue to thrift to get to $91,000 a year in revenue. $91,000 a year in revenue is possible in thrift stores, but you're not going to do it in 20 hours a week, because you're going to be spending basically 20 hours a week in thrift stores trying to find your items, and that is not what we want to do. So for you to be able to hit this strategy, you have to quit thrifting and you have to build connections to be able to source reliable stock, so the 20 hours a week that you do spend working on your eBay business is more so here at home, listing up your items, shipping the sales that you have, and having an influx of stock coming in the door. Now, there are two other killers when it comes to quality stock sourcing, and that is just simply going out and buying too much, an abundance of stock. The death pile is something that we heavily speak about on this channel, and the fact that I just simply don't have one, because I know that that slows up the wheel of cash flow. The more stock that I buy allows me to not make as much profit, and it doesn't allow me to hit my $100 a day if I just keep going out and spending excessively on stock. So I make sure that I only buy the right items, I only buy what I need to buy to keep my store metrics into play, and I say no to the rest, and I make sure that I don't ever build up a death pile. I really don't think you need it. I think it's a massive hindrance, and I think it causes a lot of mental headache for you to be able to deal with all of the stock that you have by buying too much. I also think on the counter to that, the other issue that we see with people with selling on eBay and getting this wrong, this quality sourcing option wrong, is that they're not willing to pay enough for it. You're not willing to go and pay $50 for the item that sells for $150 because they're in fear that they don't have the trust of the sell-through rate, they don't have the trust of the previously sold information on eBay. They're just too new to the game, or they're just simply not willing to invest a larger amount of money. But that is the secret, guys. Ever since I've been able to launch into spending more money on products and having true confidence in the data when it comes to selling on eBay, I'm now getting a larger return of cash flow, and then I'm able to divvy that out and do with it what I please. So you really can't afford that. You've got to make sure that you're spending your money wisely and you're spending more money on the right product and you're getting a bigger bang for buck. Now, pillar number 2 of the strategy is all about listings. Like how much money do you need to put into eBay every single day? Because that's what it comes down to. Dollar value per day listing into eBay. You cannot do it otherwise without that form of a strategy. But how much do you have to put in every day? Well, to get $250 a day in sales, I believe you're going to have to list anywhere between $300 to $350 per day, every single day in eBay. Now, the best way that you can do that is you can build up a draft bank. You can list your $300 live for that day, and then you can sit there and work on building out a 14-day draft bank. The second you have 14 days worth of draft listings, if you still have a death pile item, you still have stock that you're yet to list into that draft bank, you do not need to go out and source again. That's where you put a freeze on your sourcing, you let the cash flow move and the profit generate, and you say no to any more sourcing. The deals are always going to be there, guys. A lot of people are in fear that if they don't pick up the deal they can see in front of them, they're never going to see another deal again. You're always going to see a deal. So $350 a day at most, but you could probably get away with $300. You could do that, guys. At $50 listing average, that's, what? How many? 6? $50 listings per day, $300, and over the course of a week, that's 42 items that you would need to source on a consistent basis. So that's why we need to get away from the thrift stores, and we need to find those 42 items and have them come to us via any means possible. So speak to everybody about what you do to be able to have that quantity of $350 going live every single day. But that draft bank is going to allow you to not have to stress about working on weekends. You could do all of your listings for the weekend, build it into your draft bank, and then just simply hit it live on a Saturday and a Sunday. So this can be as little as 2 hours per week if we do the fundamentals correct like we're speaking about. The biggest killer when it comes to listings is just inconsistencies. The second you lapse for a day or 2 days, you need to get the wheel rolling again on eBay, and that is a really tough thing to do. It takes quite a while to get the momentum back when you fall off the perch. So I can't stress it enough. You need that $300 going in every day, and you need that to go in for 365 days a year. So that's why I spoke about the discipline. The discipline to make sure that that goes into your store and it's good quality stock every single day is going to be the secret to be able to get you to $91,000 a year. Now, the third pillar is going to be weekly store maintenance. I speak about this quite a bit on the channel as well, and it's everything outside of sourcing and all of the fun stuff. This is you sitting down on the computer and working through your store's performance, checking your Seller Hub analytics, and going through your sales performance data. What are your best-selling categories? Maybe they are the categories that you choose to niche down on. Doing the end and sell similar strategy to be able to refresh your listings with a new item number, to have your listings look like they've just been listed. eBay will give it a boost for the next 30 days, and you always pick up additional sales, which increases your store's sell-through rate. And that's the biggest thing that we want to focus on. One sale for every 100 active listings in your store is the marker to show that your store is selling through at a fantastic rate. This is totally possible. I see people do way better than one sale per every 100 active listings, but it is the benchmark that you're going to need to get yourself to. So working on your store maintenance, it's probably just an hour a week. It's not a lot of time, but it's one of the biggest things that gets neglected because people are battling to list up their items, but they're spending all of their time going out and sourcing and building up their death pile, and they're doing things literally 180 degrees reverse of what they should be doing. Less time sourcing, more time listing, and more time playing with your active listings. Pillar number 4, I'm speaking to you because I know you have a death pile. I know you have a number of items lying around your house that you have yet to get to. And this is going to be a massive pillar to tick off for you to get to $100 a day in profit. There's going to be no other way of doing it. It's killing your death pile, absolutely eliminating it. So the 100% sourcing ban takes effect. That's the first step. And then secondly, you pull out all of your stock that is unlisted. And you look at it and you compare the data that we were speaking about before with what is a quality stock item. Does it hit all of the metrics that we speak about for a good quality item for eBay? Now, if it doesn't hit those metrics, that's okay. We all make bad buys. You need to put that into a no pile and then put the items that are great into a yes pile, and now going to be your listings for the next couple of weeks on eBay. Everything else doesn't matter. You can use Flipped It to then add in all of those death pile items, and you can actually see what the potential revenue is going to be for those items with the expected listing value that Flipped It provides. So that's a really great way to be motivated by the data, to be able to say, wow, I've got 100 items that are worth $10,000. I better get cracking and list those items because I'm already halfway or a tenth of the way towards my annual goals if I can just list up those death pile items. It's going to help you massively, 1 in cash flow, but 2 in revenue, which is going to get you that $100 a day in profit. And then pillar number 5 is keeping on top of your numbers and managing your numbers to be able to be aware of how close you are towards that goal that you're trying to get, that strategy of $100 a day. How much money are you making each and every day? And you want to work towards that over time. Now, the best way to go about it is to use a program like Flipped It. You can go down the spreadsheet path and do it yourself, or you could just simply plug your eBay store into a site like Flipped It to be able to track all of your business finances at a click of a button. The profit margins, how much money you're making on every single individual item, or adding in all of your business expenses, you name it, getting a full, well-rounded snapshot of what your business looks like is going to be crucial to your success of getting this strategy of $100 per day. If you've missed the video around our strategy to get to $10,000 per month, I'm going to leave that video for you right here. I'm going to map it out from $0 to $10,000. Hopefully there's some value in it for you.